everyone, it's Dr. Ashley back for this week's recovery hack. Hopefully, it will be a tip that will help break down the full recovery into bite sized pieces. Now, I'm really excited about this hack, and I think for all of you who are the creative types, you might really enjoy this one as well. About 13 years ago, a book was written called Life Without Ed, and it's by a phenomenal woman. Her name is Jenny Schaefer. And this is a book that she actually co authored with her therapist. She had gone through therapy to recover from her eating disorder, and she had a hybrid of anorexia and bulimia. Um, and so, as she got into recovery, she and her therapist decided to co author a book about her recovery process. And a big component of her recovery was creating an external representation and relationship with her eating disorder. And so she used the acronym of eating disorder, ED, and she aptly named her eating disorder Ed and started talking about him as if he were an external person outside of her who really was mistreating her. And so much of her therapy was about getting strong within herself to stand up to the abusive and controlling ways of this partner or person in her life that she was calling Ed, or her eating disorder. It was a very empowering approach to the recovery process. And so, as I was thinking about this week's recovery hack and thinking about our monthly theme of the full spectrum of eating disorders, I thought, what better person to look to than Jenny Schaefer, whose book has really remained one of the absolute top books in our field. So many people read her book and her subsequent books after that, um, where they learn how to think about their eating disorder as this controlling abusive person outside of themselves, develop the strength within to stand up to this control and abuse and really take back their life. So this week's hack, I really want you to start thinking about, who is your Ed? How would you describe your eating disorder as if it or he or she were a person outside of yourself? So, what I want you to think about is, what are the qualities of your Ed? How would you describe this person? And then, for those of you who are more in the creative side of things, I want you to create a visual representation of Ed. All right. What does Ed look like? And how might you represent his or her or its qualities and attributes artistically and visually? What colors would you use to represent your Ed? What shapes and symbols and facial expressions would you use to represent your Ed? What types of props or things around Ed might convey the type of energy that Ed brings into your life? I would love to see a visual representation of your Ed. And as the urge to binge or restrict or any other type of behavior or thought that is interwoven into the eating disorder, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and bring up this visual of your Ed. And notice what happens when you imagine Ed being outside of yourself, and you being this strong, empowered, wise human who is able to say, I don't deserve to be controlled and abused and oppressed and spoken down to. That's just not what I deserve. So, Ed, I'm going to ask you to step aside. I'm going to ask you to get out of my way. And I want you to just notice what happens when you allow that visual process to come up inside of you. What happens as you imagine Ed separate? What happens when you step into the language that takes your power back and says, nope, not today, Ed? What happens with curiosity and compassion? Just notice. Sometimes you might find that you're really able to tap into that personal power within and stand up to Ed. Sometimes you might find you're not able to. And when that happens, I don't want you to beat yourself up. I just want you to notice. What is it about this moment that's making it hard to stand up to Ed? What's happening inside? What thoughts are coming up? What feelings are coming up that's making it hard? All that's happening is you're just getting more clarity on where your next piece of work might be for your recovery process. That is your deeper work. Okay. So, this week's hack, I really want you to externalize your eating disorder. I want you to put it outside of you. Imagine Ed as an external being. What does he, she, or it look like? Take some time to really put it down onto paper with crayons, pens, markers, pencils, paint, clay, whatever medium works for you. It could even be a magazine collage of images and words, but represent your Ed. And if you feel so inclined, I would love to see some photos of these fantastic pieces of art. You can take a picture of it and post. We would love to see this. Okay. So get Ed outside of you, start to talk back, start to step into your place of power, and let's see what happens. I know full recovery is waiting for you. Okay. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here in a few days. Bye-bye.